Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank, and this is the 2021 McLaren 720S Le Mans Edition. Let's go ahead and let's get into this review on this very special McLaren. So I first want to start this video off by thanking Long Island Sports Cars. This is where I am today. You guys have seen me here before. This is Long Island's premier dealer for McLarens and Aston Martins. So feel free to check out the description below to look at their inventory, including this beautiful 1 of 50 McLaren 720S Le Mans. Let's go ahead though and let's fully dive into this review. So let's first start this video off on what Le Mans is. Le Mans is a 24-hour race that takes place. It's an endurance-based race focusing on sports cars, and it takes place near the town of Le Mans, France. And now that brings us into this one. So McLaren made this special edition 720 to commemorate the first victory of the 24-hour Le Mans that they had nearly 25 years ago. Now there's a few differences in this car compared to a standard 720S that we are going to go over that makes this so special. Again, this is a 1 of 50 build. Alright guys, so let's start this review off on the most obvious thing, and that's the exterior color. So with a 1 of 50 build, McLaren was only allowing 2 types of colors: Sarth Gray, which you can see in front of me, and an orange color as well, which I'll put up in the screen somewhere over here. This one, like I said, is the Sarth Gray, and it looks absolutely awesome under lighting as well. It's a dark gray, but it also has a little bit of blue tone in here too. Very, very subtle, and I think it makes this car look really well, especially paired with those wheels and the gold calipers that we'll get into shortly. Starting off on the front, the main differences are going to be carbon fiber versus gloss black. So on the performance package of the 720, this is all going to standard be carbon fiber, but on the Le Mans edition, you're actually getting gloss black instead, except for the carbon fiber fender louvers right here. So these are done on purpose just for the Le Mans edition, whereas everything else on here for Le Mans is actually gloss black instead of carbon fiber. So the little hood vent up here is gloss black, the little lower lip down here is gloss black as well, and the mirrors and so on are all going to be gloss black instead of carbon fiber like the performance package would feature. The general styling of the car is very similar to the standard 720. Again, very subtle features. That moves on to these beautiful headlights too. Again, these are standard with the 720, but instead of carbon fiber in here, you do have gloss black inserts on here and here, and I think it really makes the car look really aggressive. I like the way these headlights look in general on McLaren. I think they did a really good job on the design elements for this car. And now making our way back towards the car, we're starting off on the front. Main thing that is a difference between the 720 and the Le Mans, and that's these beautiful wheels. These are the 5-spoke Le Mans wheels. These fronts are going to be 245 by 35 by 19s, obviously wider on the rear end. And you do have the gold caliper on there, again, which is a major difference between the 720 and the 720 Le Mans edition. Also, one cool thing that they did put on here, as you can see right down here, is actually Le Mans engraved into the wheel so that you know what car you're driving. Right behind that, as you can see, as well as the 720S badge, and everything honestly going on towards the back is very similar except for a few other little things. And now moving our way back just on this little lower area, as you can see right in there where the air can go in and go right into there, you can see we do have the 25-year Le Mans sticker put on here, again, just to signify what this car is and what the history of this car is. Now going on to the back, you do have the same 5-spoke wheels back here as well with that gold caliper, carbon ceramic rotors on here as well. And again, the same style 5-spoke wheel on here with the Le Mans engraved on here, but the rear tire size is obviously significantly larger. We do have 305 by 30s back here, and these are 20-inch wheels. All right, guys, so now moving our way back, you can see a few other differences. Obviously, like I said and mentioned before, you do have gloss black in here instead of carbon fiber. This beautiful rear wing on here too, which normally sits flush on here, but when it's elevated up, it looks so aggressive. It makes this car look so good. You do have these beautiful rear taillights on here and the 2 center exhausts on here as well. This car is optioned out with the sports exhaust as well, so just keep in mind of that for a cold start too. Now, in an effort to make this car really different and stand out from the rest of the 720S crown, obviously help cool down this motor, the next major difference on here is going to be this beautiful gloss black roof scoop. And as you can see right in there, the carbon fiber little funnel too, helping funnel that air down into the motor, help keep that thing cool. It looks so aggressive, really reminiscent of the classic F1 cars, and that's the reason that they did this on here as well. Again, pairing that with the wheels, it really takes over. It makes this look like a classic F1 race car. And now moving on to the rear end, obviously that brings us into one of the most important things on this car, and that is the powertrain. So again, this is no different than a standard 720S. This is going to be the 4.0 liter V8 with 710 horsepower, 568 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 2.6 seconds. Again, the only difference on this one is that it was spec'd out to have the sport exhaust. Otherwise, everything else is the same as a standard 720S. Obviously on the rear end too, you can see more gloss black accents on here too, including that beautiful rear diffuser on there, which looks very aggressive. And I love the exposed look on the lower end in here. We can really see some of the mechanics in there too, including those massive wheels on the back too. All right guys, now let's hear a beautiful cold start on this sport exhaust. All right guys, so you just heard that beautiful sport exhaust. It sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I think that they did a really good job on the exhaust note of this car. Obviously, we're not going to rev it up or anything like that because it did just start, and it is a very special car at the end of the day. Now, let's touch on one other thing before we jump onto the interior that makes this car very special. And that is this right here, the VIN number for the car. Actually, as you can see, it starts with 298, signifying the amount of laps that the McLaren F1 GTR did do around the Le Mans lap when it won. Pretty cool little touch they added. Let's go ahead though, and let's jump onto the interior. All right guys, we are now inside of the 720S Le Mans edition. Really cool feeling inside here. Obviously, to be inside of a McLaren, let alone the 720S in general, it is a really cool feeling, but this one in particular feels awesome. There's a lot of special branding in here that signifies that you are in the Le Mans edition, such as the headrest right here with the stitching and embroidery of the 25 Le Mans with the little wings going around it there. On the floor mats as well, you do have a metal badge put into the floor mat itself, and actually when you open and close the door, on the sill right here, it does say McLaren 25 Le Mans Anniversary Edition, and it says the 1 of 50 on here too, from 1995 to 2020, signifying the 25 years anniversary. Let's go ahead though, let's give this another close. So yeah, starting off on the review inside of here, everything is covered in Alcantara. That's the primary material that McLaren loves to use. The steering wheel on here is also finished in Alcantara, which I'm not that big of a fan of, because when you are constantly putting your hands on here, your hands sweat, they produce oils and grease, everything like that. It tends to wear down the Alcantara on the steering wheel too. And after, I would say, a few months, honestly, you start to see that wear and tear on the steering wheel, depending on how much you're driving it. There is also carbon fiber in here, which is the second most used, I would say, material inside here. Again, the steering wheel, the massive paddle shifters on here too, which feel really nice, and they sound really good too. The steering wheel itself is half made out of carbon fiber too. You can actually see too, once you're inside of here, the exposed carbon fiber on here. Again, the tub of this car is made of carbon fiber, so when you're getting into the car, on the door sill underneath, you can see the exposed carbon fiber on there. And then actually in here on the A-pillar, you can see on the inside all of the carbon fiber design going on in there too. A really cool, nice touch. When you're looking back in here too, you see that massive carbon fiber little intake hose or inlet, whatever you want to call it, that connects from the roof scoop up there and goes into the motor to help cool that thing down. I think it looks awesome as well. And you do actually have a little bit of storage in here too. Right up here, again, all finished in Alcantara suede, whatever you want to call it, and the whole rear glass area too. Honestly, the visibility, regardless of having this giant scoop in front of the window on the back, honestly, the visibility is not that bad in here. There is a lot of glass on the rear end, so it's not as bad as you may think for a supercar like this. Seats are decently comfortable. This one is optioned out with the standard seats. You are actually able to get an option for a 6-point harness in here too, if you really want to, from the McLaren factory, really helping make this thing feel like an absolute race car. But this one right here just has your standard seatbelts on here. You have one center cup holder in here, your tiny little storage area under your armrest in here, with a few charging ports in here as well. And everything else in here is pretty standard to a normal McLaren 720S, such as your infotainment screen in the center, which controls most of your general car settings. You do have the gear selector down the center right here with these dials, and the red start engine in the center, which I think is a really cool touch. It makes this car look really cool. So when the car is actually on, you do see the screen right here too. It illuminates with the 720S. It will ding a lot at you. And then again, when you change the drive modes on this car, the screen will actually fold back down. And then you have another display up top that shows you, and that's really just when you're in the race mode. when it will show you that. Otherwise, you just have a general gauge cluster right here. Again, I think it looks really nice, and I think they did a really good job on the overall design inside of here. That actually brings us on to the price tag of this car, because obviously with all of this cool stuff, it does come with a price. The 720S in general is a pricey car to begin with, but this one right here, the 1 of 50 Le Mans edition, has a price from the factory of $352,000. If you are interested in this one yourself, feel free to contact Long Island Sports Cars to see exactly what they're going to be selling this one for. They just got this one in, so I'm not sure. I believe it's the only one on the market. There may be an orange one from what I heard as well in the market, but other than that, it seems there's either 1 or 2 on the market right now across the entire world. But other than that, the interior itself is pretty similar, or if not the complete same, to a standard 720S. Again, the only subtle features are just the badging and branding in here, such as the 25 years Le Mans on there, the ones on the floors, and the ones when you're getting into the car. Otherwise, everything in here is relatively similar. Speaking of the seats too, they're decently comfortable, but obviously they are carbon fiber and they are racing seats at the end of the day, pretty much. So not a lot of lower back support in these. It's pretty hard. It's McLaren, it's 720S. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into when you're getting into this car. I do like the design though on here. I like the white suede going down the center with the black. I think it makes it look pretty nice, and I like how it matches the color too of the Le Mans logo, which is white. And that's really it for the interior review of this car. Honestly, like I said, there's not too much to go over in here besides a few general differences for the Le Mans edition versus a standard 720. So if you're familiar with the 720, you're going to be very familiar with this one, obviously, except for a few little things. Let's go ahead though, let's jump back outside the car and let's wrap up this video. All right guys, and that's going to conclude this review on the McLaren 720S Le Mans edition. Remember, this is 1 of 50 in the entire world. If you are interested in this one, check out the description below to contact Long Island Sports Cars to see if you can get your hands on this very special car. Without further ado though, let's wrap up this video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification so that you know when I post next. I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next one. Take care.